in my free fall. It has what I want. By the time I'm done, maybe I'll be home numb. Are you missing me? Have you found your peace? I wonder if you're listening. I can't hear your sound, so I think I'll drown these thoughts with another round. One shot, toast to my enemy. One shot has me down on my knees. One shot gives me what I thought I need. Why is it not happening? This guilt is mine, and I can't deny. No, I won't even try. Deep down I know you're fine and better off without me. Are you missing me? Have you found your peace? I wonder if you're listening. I can't hear your sound, so I think I'll drown these thoughts with another round. One shot, toast to my enemy. One shot has me down on my knees. One shot gives me what I thought I need. Why is it not happening? Why? Is it not happening? One shot is all I need. Yeah. One shot, toast to my enemy. One shot has me down on my knees. One shot gives me what I thought I need. Why is it not happening? One shot, toast to my enemies. One shot has me down on my knees. One shot gives me what I thought I need.
And we are back with another Synthwave Hangout. I, of course, am Dave, aka Memory Design, joined always by my co-host, Dominic, also known as Woren. How are you?
I am on the mend.
Yeah? What's been going on?
Yeah. I've been under the weather for like about a week now.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's rough. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that you are with us here today.
Oh, yeah, me too. I wouldn't miss it. We have the, legendary guest today.
Yeah, oh, for sure. So, speaking of our legendary guest, I think that we can introduce him if I can figure out where my setting is here. So, here we are proud to have on the show this week, your friend and mine, is he there?
Hello.
There he is. There he
is.
He almost got you.
Hi, everybody.
Every time I fall for it. How are you doing, Sean?
Yeah, all great. Yeah. No, thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, no problem.
Nice to hang out.
Yeah, no, it's nice to hang out. And, we have known each other. I don't know if it was right when you first dropped your self-titled album, but we started following each other on Instagram kind of right in the beginning. Is that your memory of that too?
Yeah. It was. I don't know if it was like the single or the album, but yeah, it seems like we connected like very early on. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that we connected early, but we didn't really start talking, and I didn't really start exploring your stuff until, if you remember, I had this idea to start that Spotify playlist, and I reached out to people. Do you remember this at all? And you were like, "Oh yeah, you can put Network on." Do you have any memory of that, or is this just my fantasy in my head?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Cortical, it actually came out like, we're almost at a year now. I think it was like, it might have been like, it would have been a Friday. It might have been like February 13th or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, we're like creeping up on a year from like, the very first single from the album, because the album came out in April, but so it's like, I guess that's an anniversary I'll have to celebrate.
Has it really been almost a year since we've all started like chatting and talking? It's crazy to think about that. Yeah,
it's been time goes really quickly, and slow at the same time. It feels sometimes.
Right.
But
what do they say? The days are long, but the weeks are short.
Oh yeah, I've never heard that before, but that does make a lot of sense. But yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking like. I released that Second Chances album December 26th in 2023, and it's already 2025. And it's like, where did the time go? Yeah. Like, what has happened in between this, Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
Really.
It's weird to look back on things.
What was that, Tom? Sorry, you cut off.
Oh, I said it's just weird to look back on things when you're really like trying to like looking at the passage of time kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, we'll talk about, and we'll listen to some of your self-titled album later on in the show, Sean. But as you know, this is no secret. It's one of my favorite albums of last year. I know we've talked about that a few times and everything, but absolutely excellent job on that. And I hope we can talk a little bit later about how you made it, because the story behind that is fascinating, too.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. I appreciate the support, and that... you keep listening to the album, and that it really means a lot. Like that, like some people buy the vinyl and it's like it looks good and play it once, but that from what you've been telling me, I'm just imagining the grooves just getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and I might have to send you a second one soon. I don't know.
The joke when we first started this show and I was playing you was that I'd never downloaded the digital version of your album before. And so I had to go back to Bandcamp and download it.
You missed a couple tracks there.
Yes, I guess so. But it is, I collect vinyl, right? I don't listen to it all the time, but I would just put yours on while I was working, and it's still one of my favorite albums. So I appreciate that you made it. So if nothing else, it's been important to me.
Well, exactly, yeah. And to me,
I
it's an
appreciate that.
incredible.
You appreciate.
Yeah, it's an incredible body of work, man. Like I honestly am floored every time I listen to it, and I know that me and you always joke around a lot, and but I always have like the highest amount of respect for you, man, because like I honestly truly believe that you wrote like one of the better synthwave albums I've ever heard, and it's just, I don't know, there's something magical about it, man. It like transcends the genre in a way. It's just so, I don't know, it's just so magical.
Yeah, and this is the whole show, us just dumping compliments on you, by the way.
Yes,
the whole time.
Just accept it.
Next topic.
Right. You're like, I'm terrible. I hate myself. Right.
You know, it's crazy that
I appreciate that. That the album's been getting well received, because it's definitely something new for me, and new in the genre. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people are hearing tabla for the first time. They're like, hey, what's this?
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people who do know tabla, of course, also, and they're hearing it in a new way that they haven't heard it before. So.
Were you saying something, Dom? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna throw more compliments again, basically.
Oh, okay.
No, but it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like I can tell you put a lot of love and thought and care into this, and I like a lot of long form music as well. Like a lot of people, including myself, fall into this trap where we make like these like 3.5, 4 minute songs, and that's fine. Don't get me wrong, but like I prefer long form songs that like it takes time for them to progress and changes happen. So it's like I have a deep appreciation for what you do.
Well, thanks. Yeah, from my perspective, coming from like the Indian music world, like these tracks are all pretty short. But I know like coming from like like synthwave, and like radio length tracks,
right?
People trying to keep their tracks under 5 minutes, this kind of thing, or 3 minutes.
Right, I was going to say 5 minutes is long for that. 3:30 is what most people do.
Well, growing up, that was like
I have a track on my last album, like not Temporal Waves, like my regular me album.
Yeah.
I have a 40-minute track.
Hell yeah.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's
just you hitting the tabla, once every 16 bars once, right? And just like echoes out 40 minutes. No,
I don't know. You would have to
I'm
count
kidding.
How many times? It's probably like bazillions of times. But, yeah.
Yeah, this is a surprise for later in the show. It's just one song, one 40-minute original non-temporal wave song. That's going to be the rest of the show.
Yeah, and then back when I first started making electronic music, I didn't know about this like industry standard thing that people did, and I was making like 7 to 9 minute tracks because that's what I like doing. And I remember showing people, and they were just like, "Dude, why is this so long?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Man? It's a regular song."
Yeah, but most people though,
if you're coming from like,
go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're coming from like progressive rock or things like that, it's like, it's 7-9 minutes, whatever. That's no problem, right?
Right. Yeah. Side A, right? You gotta have a side A or side B full track. From back in the day, anyways.
Yeah, it's just like I said. To me, it made sense to have these long. I mean, because like I said, when I'm listening to a song that's instrumental specifically, like I like for it to last and like for it to be like a full experience. So like it's, I don't know, it's very strange to have to try to maintain putting enough progression into a song that's so short, because I just feel like it's I don't know, maybe I guess it leaves more to be desired sometimes for me when I'm doing it, or maybe I feel like, if anything, I guess to the listener it's kind of like a tease, you know what I mean?
Sure. Well, it has to be interesting, and that's where sometimes these things fall apart, these longer tracks, is there's a lot of like repetitive stuff and everything, but when it's done right, it's incredible. So I'm a big fan of the long form tracks as well.
Yeah.
But that's from my like progressive rock, love that kind of a thing.
For sure. Well, Solace used to be like a 7-minute track.
Oh, you're withholding my favorite Woren song, the 7-minute extended mix.
It used to be a 7-minute track when I first made it like years ago, and but I had to shorten it down because like that's kind of like what people expect, I guess.
Yeah. Huh. Well,
Strange.
no, I was just looking at this playlist
Maybe
here.
we'll get to hear it one
Right.
day.
I was just thinking, like, do you have this 7-minute version available right now?
I don't.
Okay.
One day I'll send you the original version before I made it like full on synthwave.
Okay. Oh, I'd love
But
to
I'll
hear
know.
that, actually.
Yeah, because it was like the style I had before was more like space wave than
Okay.
synthwave, I guess. So like that was the style I was rocking for a long
That's interesting. I would love to hear
we
that.
actually have all my, I think, so a while ago, I think I sent Dave like my full body of work that I made over the years. And it's a lot of like mostly finished tracks, but they're all very poorly mixed because I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. Right when Dominic and I first started talking and like kind of becoming friends, we're talking about music and he's like, yeah, man, check out some of my old stuff. So he sends me this Google Drive folder and it has like 300 tracks in it. He's like, hey, you check those out? I'm like, I got to go on vacation for this. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I used
There's
to
a
like,
lot of
like I said,
stuff.
I used to make. Well, I delivered pizzas for a while, and I was getting bored of listening to the radio and trying to find playlists for things that I listened to. So I was like, I'm just gonna make music to like jam while I'm delivering, and that's basically how it started out. Was just like me making like this very long form song.
Yeah, well, right. That's the best place to go over your music too, is if you're stuck in a car for a while, because it's almost like you're stuck being, thinking about it and critically reviewing your mix and everything like that, for better or for worse.
Right. I used to write drum beats while I was driving. I'd have a little touchpad thing that, like, while I was driving, I just like practice making like drum beats, like different rhythms and
Oh wow.
things like that.
You ever do this, Sean, or are you just like turned off while you're not, like teaching or recording?
Sometimes ideas will come, but mainly it's like when I have, for me, it's like this music is like, I don't know, I guess it's like the unhealthy hobby, for a musician to have
Sure.
music as a hobby, but like a different kind of music. So it's like when I have time to relax, and then I'll go sit down and just play around with sounds and jam
Right.
a little bit and see what comes. But I'm not like usually trying to find ideas or sometimes something will come, but yeah, it's more like a relax activity.
Right. And we'll get more into that later, because what you do and your the non-temporal wave stuff is really fascinating to me, and everything. But yeah, the fact that there's this whole other side, that people don't know about maybe, is pretty cool, and it does explain kind of more of the how you're able to integrate the tabla so well into the synthwave and all that kind of stuff. But
My alter ego, my regular self.
right, this is your alter ego.
The persona that is me.
Right. So if there's nothing else, I think we should move on to the next block of music, because then we can come back, talk a little bit more, and then we've got some temporal waves coming up.
Excellent.
So, all right. So let's see. Oh, I don't have to say the time because we're not doing the music thing. So, all right. We will see everybody after this block.
Waking up to
And in that last block, both that Just Scott song and the Perfect Female Type song just came out on RetroSynth just a few days ago, actually. Sorry, man, time is moving. I had to double check that. I was like, when did that would just came out? But those are both excellent. Both those songs I like a lot.
For sure, that Perfect Female Type song is like, I was literally awake one night and I couldn't fall asleep, and just so happened to get a notification that it came out, and like nobody listened to it yet, and I listened to it I think about 4 or 5 times back to back.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this track is so damn good.
Yeah, it's got a great feel to it. And Scott, of Just Scott, I've always really liked his singing voice. There's something about his voice that is
He's got a very old school voice.
Yeah, it's a very it's like made for this style of music. To my ear, like I immediately connect to it. So,
and he's a really, really good guy as well.
Absolutely.
I really like Scott.
So, Sean, just I know there's new people hopping in and everything. For anybody who came in, who maybe hasn't been here before, my name is Dave, and I'm also make music under the artist name Memory Design, and my co-host Dominic makes music under the name Woren. So if you've seen us in the chat, if you're just following along, that's who we are. And we all know Sean from Temporal Waves, so the man of the hour.
No introduction needed.
Right. So, Sean, next up, we have 2 songs from your self-titled album, but do you want to talk a little bit, for anybody who doesn't know, kind of your history with tabla and how you kind of came to the point of making, I mean, not like a super long, story on it, but how this project came to be? Because like we were saying before, this is not your main project, or like you always joke, your alter ego.
Yeah, so, I grew up playing drums and percussion, and at some point I heard the tabla, which is a pair of drums from the north of India. I heard it at some point in my teens for the first time, and I was just blown away. Wow, what is this? And very long story short, I found a teacher, a guru, a master player in the tradition, who generously taught me for a number of years. And when I first started playing, I didn't realize, or I didn't know that maybe I could actually be a professional tabla player, not having been born in the culture or in the tradition. So I was just a percussionist that was playing tabla. But just as time passed and I put more and more time in, and just things happened, and here I am today, where I play tabla in lots of different contexts. Traditional Indian classical music. So that's, tabla with the sitar, or with singers, or with dance, or, whatever you can imagine. Also in contemporary, or you could say experimental music kind of context, like free improvisation, or working with modern composers, working with orchestras and different stuff. And then, the pandemic came along, and I used to do electronic music. I was part of the tracker scene back in the 90s. But as I became a professional musician, I kind of left that aside, the electronic stuff. I was really focusing on being a tabla player and a more acoustic kind of musician, let's say. But with the pandemic, and I don't know, maybe things like Stranger Things, and there's this idea, the nostalgia and comfort, and comfort through nostalgia. I don't know exactly what it was, and I just started getting back into synths a little bit, and guitar pedals, and running my tabla through the guitar pedals, and experimenting and just jamming and figuring things out. And kind of two different paths kind of emerged from that. One is let's say a more experimental, free improvisation kind of thing, where the tabla is going through pedals and stuff, and just seeing how can I modify the tabla sound in an interesting way. And then this other side with the synths, this I didn't know what synthwave was. I just
it's like Dominic has that same story.
Yeah, same. I had no idea. and there's a lot of versatility in like open. It's very open to many different ways to make synthwave. I guess I don't really know how to word that correctly right now, but yeah, I same with synthwave. There's less restrictions. It feels like when you're doing stuff with like synthesizers and stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's just that the sound world is less of a, I don't know, of a cutting edge technological thing, and it's more like, the vision of the future through the eyes of the past, right? Like, so it's right. It's what we thought the future was going to be, or like back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Jetpacks and neon things.
Right.
Yeah, and like vintage synth. Like, I'm really into vintage synths, like old stuff. Like the old Roland Junos and this kind of stuff. So it's those kinds of sounds. I mean, there's nowadays synths that are like way more complex, and you can do all kinds of things with them, but there's a certain simplicity and there's a certain rawness in the sound, and a kind of, you could say, fatness in the sound that those old synths have, and they're also kind of works of art too, like in terms of objects.
Oh, I totally agree, because I am the person that would own that, to like have it and like play it myself, but still record with soft synths or VSTs, right? Just like, because they are beautiful. I mean, and this might be nostalgia speaking, but like older equipment and this kind of stuff, the way that the designs, the fonts they use, the setups of them, it's a whole different feeling to me. And
it's blocky look too, you know what I mean? Like that blocky, like, it's almost like like we just said, like the retro futuristic look of it is really sweet. It's like, that's why I think I'm so enamored by the old school Star Wars stuff still, you know what I mean? Because it was just such a interesting look at like what the future of whatever could be, even if it was not in our gallery.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if that's nostalgia talking versus if you experienced it at the time. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah, true. Because like, I mean, I feel like anybody at any point in their generation is always going to look back at like their childhood with fondness. But like for me, the thing was though, is that my childhood was in the 90s, and I really wasn't an adult until the early 2000s.
Right.
So
2020.
Right. Yeah, there we go. And the thing is like, but I grew up, my mom was very nostalgic about things, and she was very much into prog rock and Motown and blues and jazz and all these other sorts of things that she got me into as a kid. And the 80s was just something that I discovered on my own, and I was really interested in.
Right.
But I still had no idea what synthwave was until, like I said, until my brother was like, what you're making is synthwave. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you can never have anything good, right? You can never.
I really thought I was.
I've invented this, right?
I thought I was being like someone original, because like, I mean, for me, it wasn't Stranger Things. I mean, it was Stranger Things, obviously, because I liked the show. But before that, it was the movie Drive, and that movie.
A lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people were into that, and
it's a good movie, dude.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie. I don't know if my Synthwave card is now revoked, but I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, I only saw it maybe within the last year. Like there's this Synthwave documentary, which I don't remember the name of right now. So I saw that. It's like Rise of the Synths, maybe it's called. And then
I've heard of that.
That's
I think
mentioned in the documentary, and then so I was like, okay, I should check this out. And actually, I started going back and watch. I don't remember anymore which films I actually saw and which films I was seeing for the first time, because it's been so many years. But like old, like John Carpenter stuff, and this and that, and just like rewatching. Yeah, like I said, watching or rewatching, I don't remember a lot of those things, and getting those sounds.
Yeah, and paying attention to the music, right? That like.
That's it.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying like that. That's exactly like, it's just those sounds that are like they're in us somehow.
Yeah.
But we don't know like where we're hearing it from, and then going back and watching those films, and it's like, yeah, that's why I like this kind of sound. You listen to Tron and Blade Runner and all those great things, right?
But it was so prominent in, I don't know if it was because it was cheaper or just like the the times or whatever, but a lot of movies of all different budgets and TV shows and everything, if once you have this mindset and you're like kind of looking for this kind of vibe of music, it was everywhere in the 80s, late 80s especially. And and watching stuff back now, I'm picking up music and sounds and recognizing drum machine sounds and all sorts of stuff that as a kid, it just kind of was what it was. It's just, well, that's the background music or whatever. And especially like horror movies or like B horror movies, big like, it seems like one guy with a synthesizer did the whole soundtrack. And now I love that stuff. It's so fun for me to hear it.
Yeah, I think that's maybe sometimes I feel like I'm being overly simplistic sometimes, but it's really, when you listen to this stuff, it's very open, right? Like, like there's very few sounds. But then again, then I listen to the album and I'm like, no, I wasn't being simplistic, because there's like, there's like so many layers upon layers upon layers of things.
Yeah, right. Once you start layering, it gets very complicated, but it sounds simplistic, and that's kind of the trick, right?
Sure.
Is that you want it to sound simple, but it's complicated in its like own way. Like creating the soundscape of whatever you're doing is by far one of the most complicated processes, because you got to worry about overlapping frequencies and all these other things that you wouldn't really think about if you were just sitting around playing like an acoustic guitar or something.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, this is a good segue into the songs that we have coming up. I've got the way that I've set this up is 2 Temporal Wave songs, and then coming back to talk a little bit about the next 2 that are coming up. But the first one that I have coming up is Water Temple. And speaking about layers, right, Sean? I mean, it seems like there's a couple layers in this song.
Yeah, I mean,
one or two, right?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, 1 or 2. Yeah, I mean, like there's like a certain synth layering, like you hear this like very like crystalline kind of, like it's like that for me, like the signature like kind of Water Temple sound. That kind of it's a little bit like an NES, like Nintendo kind of sound, but there's an extra something in there that you definitely wouldn't be getting from a console.
Yeah.
And then there's some like tabla nerdery going on in there with like speeds and things.
Oh, that's the best part. I love that part.
Oh man, I love the time change. It's chef's kiss.
But in the middle, when you start really going at it, right? I'm just like, in my head as like a drummer, I'm like envisioning how I would be playing this also, and how fun it would be to do that part right in the middle of the song and everything. Like Water Temple is definitely one of my favorite tracks on this whole album.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to zone out
no,
the whole time. So if I don't say anything in chat, I apologize, because I'm probably just so enthralled with this song. I love this song. Like I think Sean, when this came out, I must have told you, I don't even remember how many times. Like I used to listen to it like multiple times a day.
Here we are back to complimenting.
That's where my 3 Spotify listens come from.
Right. Hey, I was one of those. Yeah. See, that's the problem, right, with streaming, right? Because I never
YouTube.
Stream the album because I own it. Right?
I was always streaming it on YouTube, so all the YouTube plays were probably from me.
Right.
Oh, hey, real quick before we go anywhere, change the subject real fast. Is somebody special joined the chat? One of my oldest friends, my best friend in the whole world, the other Dave I know. Okay, is here, like Tannen or whatever.
Oh, I see him here. Yeah.
Okay, so he's one of my oldest friends. His name's Dave as well, because I know a lot of Daves.
Right.
I collect them like Pokemon cards, and he is very special, dear to me. So if everybody could wave hi to him, I love that guy. Love you, Dave.
I'm waving at the mic.
Perfect.
Hey, Dave.
There we go.
All right.
Sorry, I just had to get that out.
No, it's all good.
Yeah,
we don't shout out enough. That's something we need to do more. So anything?
I like to shout.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just said I like to shout. Go ahead.
Sean, anything else you want to say before we get into these next 2 songs?
What was it? Water Temple.
Water Temple and Data Cassette Sunrise.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So these are the two where there's a lot of notes.
Right.
The data cassette is it's basically like a tabla solo kind of. So yeah, extra points to anyone who could figure out what the time signature.
The time signature. All right. That's the challenge for the chat. Figure out the time signature in the second song we're gonna play.
Data cassette. Second too. Yeah.
So, all right. So we'll come back and talk a little bit more after this. But coming up right now, this is Water Temple by Temporal Waves. Wow. Every time. That is an incredible. Those are two songs are incredible, but the tabla playing in that last. Hey, how do you feel after like a recording session like that? Are you just so used to it, or are your hands like so calloused from playing for so long?
It's not so bad. I mean, in the tradition, like, I don't know, we learned to kind of like practice like 6 hours a day kind of thing as
Right.
like a very like average thing to be doing when you're in the learning phase. So, you know, like to play for a few hours, it's like it's no problem. But still, you know, like it requires a focus.
Yeah, tell me about
You
it.
know, just make sure you stay on and all that. And yeah, I mean, in the studio, surely. I mean, I don't remember. You know, I surely did. 2 or 3 takes probably.
Right.
Just to make sure I was happy with it. But yeah, I guess that's lots of practicing, I guess.
I've one experience playing like hand drums for a long time. When with my old band, I was a drum set drummer, right? And we were invited to do this acoustic gig, and so I had like this. I forget what it was. It was kind of looked like a short conga, kind of, and so I was playing that I was sitting, holding that between my legs. I'm such a bad drummer, I forget which drum this was, but I didn't realize it, but by the end of the show, the whole drum head was just covered in blood, from me splitting my hand open, while playing it, because I was so not used to playing that, and I'll never forget that. So like hearing like you play and doing like such extreme, speed and everything, it's outrageously impressive to me.
But I think like tabla, like it's more of a, let's say, a finger drum than a hand drum, so it's not like super high impact.
Yeah.
So that that helps, but it does happen, when people play a long time, or like now in the winter, like my hands get dry and they crack, and they can bleed. Like that could happen. And maybe a few calluses that I have, let's say, like permanently, just from the years of playing. But pretty minor compared to like maybe what a djembe player or a bongo or conga player might have. Like
somebody who's using more palm and stuff like that. I think. Right.
It's more heavy hitting kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm not a drummer myself, but like I for whatever reason, my whole life I've always like finger drum everywhere. Like that, maybe it's just ADHD is like crazy, but like I've always done that. So like when I grew up and I learned about the tabla, and this is before I met Sean or anybody, but I knew of it. But when I was originally like learned about it, it was like it made a lot of sense because that's what I basically did. Because I'm a bass player, so it's like everything was always rhythm wise with my fingers.
So you gotta buy tablas now, right? And then forever be sending clips of you playing to Sean, and then he's just forced to be like, "Oh, you're getting there," or something like that.
I would never describe him that way. No, like,
right? It's good, right?
I think one time I told him we were going to try to sample a bunch of them, and then I would do it on the MIDI, and he was like, "Well, you're going to need about like 10,000 samples."
Right.
Let's go. Dude.
You just need the high hit, the ba, and you need the boom. Right? And then just do that over and over again.
I don't think I just need that, though. But yes, I agree. That's a good start.
Right. Sean can't talk. He's shaking his head too much, right? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, he's over there like, nope.
It's okay. You're trying.
Right.
Yeah, right.
All right.
That's what I feel like is like,
no,
that's what's going to stay on my brain.
Go ahead, Sean. Or Dom.
Yeah. No, I was saying it's definitely an instrument where, like, it's pretty limited what you could probably figure out on your own. It's one of those instruments. I mean, that's the tradition. It's like you have to really find a teacher and work with a teacher.
Yeah.
And nowadays a lot of people try to do things from like YouTube tutorials and this and that, but it's only like a one-way communication. Like the person who made the YouTube video can't give you feedback on what you're doing.
Right.
No, it's really it's a very rich, deep tradition, and it requires like studying for a long time. I'd say even if you want to like dabble a little bit, still need someone to show you kind of how to do it. Because I remember when I got tabla at the beginning, and I'd been playing drums for a long time at the time, and my brother and we sat down on the floor and we tried to figure out what to do, and no matter what we did, we couldn't figure out any sound that sounded anything at all like what we had heard on recordings.
Right.
Of course, now it's you could watch a YouTube video and at least get some kind of idea. We had no clue. This was like before the internet was like a public thing. I mean, YouTube didn't exist at the time. Books couldn't show us
right,
how to make
the technique.
Sound.
If you just hit it like with like a slap, hand, does it sound like a bongo or something? If you just do a basic hit on it.
Sort of. I mean, if your hand doesn't bounce off, it'll just be like a very closed sound. Just I don't know, a bit like hitting a table or something.
I've never had access to any tablas. Just growing up in the percussion departments and stuff like that. They've never been around, so I've never been able to play around.
So if your hand, if you're able to bounce your hand off, you'll get kind of a boingy bass from the low drum, and you'll get a kind of a high sound, from the smaller drum.
Okay.
But it won't sound like what you're used to hearing, because the sound that you're saying, the high sound, that's what it's called. There's a like do re mi.
Is that playing closer to the rim
sound? Yeah, so like that rim sound, you actually have to have your ring finger touching at the same time that you're hitting with your index finger. So like the ring finger is touching on the edge of the black spot. So it's kind of like you're making a harmonic or an overtone. Right, so your index finger is hitting the edge, and your ring finger is curved and touching the edge of the black spot. So it's like this very precise finger placement and all that to get the sound that that you're hearing. And if the drum's not in tune, you're not going to get any sound at all.
Huh.
But to tune it, you need to be able to make that sound.
Right.
Well, for me, it was always kind of like it was always akin to me to palm muting when I'm playing guitar. So I think or bass when I was doing certain things with it's a lot of palm in hand work. So I think that's why I was always drawn to that the tabla sound, or just finger drumming in general is what I do. But it's the hand work that goes along with playing guitar and finger picking and palm muting and things like that. So that's why it always made sense to me when I watch somebody play tabla, a lot of the movements and everything make sense to me. I could see. To me, that's how I've always equated it in my head, is the palm mute and using the handwork but I don't know if it's exactly like that. So I don't. I might just.
Sean's getting into teacher mode here, right? You're.
I might just be saying.
No. Actually, that's incorrect.
I'm totally okay with being wrong, and I usually am, and that's all right.
Oh well, it's fingertips mainly, except for on the left hand, the bass. You do touch at the around the wrist, but it's mainly fingertips. And as old in the chat added in, you tune in with a hammer. So it's if you're literally hitting the rim of the drum with a hammer. So it's the kind of thing you can imagine that if you don't know what you're doing, right, you're striking an instrument with a hammer, you can easily go wrong and damage the instrument, right?
Right, because you're essentially warping it to the tune.
Yeah, you have to be. It's a tuned drum, so right, which is not a very common thing, right? So you have to tune it to the pitch, like your tonic pitch or whatever your first note of the scale is. Or in the case of like in Water Temple, I wasn't tuned to the main pitch, but I was tuned to a pitch that I felt worked in a nice way with all the different harmonies.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Which is a tricky thing. I mean,
it sounds great.
The tabla is finding itself in a new place. Right, where it's not used to being, so
and knowing that's
come up with different strategies.
That's interesting because it makes sense when you hear it. It doesn't sound like there's anything wrong. Everything fits perfectly. So it did work out well.
Oh well, thanks. Yeah, good. Yeah, no, because that's it. In the tradition, there isn't harmony.
Yeah,
you stay in one key for the whole piece, or even for the whole concert. Actually, you stay on the same tonic note, changing scales, changing rugs, but the same tonic note, and you don't have to deal with harmonies and changing keys and all these different things. So if you're playing a drum that's tuned to a single pitch, you have to find how can I what pitch will I choose that can fit with all these different chords. And it's also a factor when I'm choosing chords, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna add tabla to this later, right? It has to be somehow compatible. You have to find one note that can sound okay with all those chords.
See, that's so cool. I love this. I mean, I feel like I could just talk to you about this for the whole time. What were you saying, Dom? Sorry.
No. I'm losing myself. I keep like you'll start talking about this, and then I like have all these. I don't know what it is, but whenever certain people I talk with about music and everything, I get very inspired to like daydream about things. And like
Right.
the way we're talking about all this right now, it just made me think about like how much I really want to like try to do something different. I don't.
Yeah, that's good though. I mean, that's part of the fun of talking with other musicians, even if they're doing the exact same thing you're doing. Is a lot of it's a lot of us we produce alone. We're not working with a band or whatever. So it is nice to rap a little bit with other musicians about how they do their stuff and the aspects of their music. But I want to move on to these next two, but before we do, what is the time signature? What was the answer?
Yeah, so for me it's 7/4, but at the end I admit it does sound like 7/8. So it's kind of like 2 bars of 7/8 makes a bar of 7/4. So you have kind of these two things simultaneously. And it's a 14-beat phrase, so anyway, you could look at it kind of how you want, but multiples of 7.
So who won? Were you tracking it all in the chat?
I mean, Axel was the first one to say it.
Okay, then Axel wins. And anybody else who got it too, congratulations. It's hard to tell.
What do we?
It's hard to
What
tell.
do we give him?
What?
What does he get?
You said that your computer was the prize, I thought.
Yep, that's right. That's right. You get a brand new old.
You get an old computer.
Not barely working computer. There you go.
With 700 unfinished Woren tracks on it as your gift.
It's got a half a gig of memory left in it.
Right. A pair of Temu tablas that were $30. Right. You'll also get that in the mail.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So Sean, do you want to say the next two songs we have up are Cyclotron, and then your is it a remix with Synesis or is it a collab?
Yeah, that one's a remix.
Okay.
Yeah, so at some point, she posted something, I don't remember, probably on Instagram. Is there anyone interested in doing a remix? I was like, I haven't done a remix before. This could be a fun experience, And yeah, so we chatted a little bit and finally settled on the track Black Prisma. And yeah, it's a kind of like her style is like pretty compatible with mine, like a very spaced synth kind of vibe. So I had a good time working on that. But it is kind of a collab in a way, because I did my thing and I recorded all my stuff, but then I sent it to her for like mixing and mastering. So she did kind of still have a hand in kind of the final. Mm-hmm. In terms of the technical aspect of it anyway. And the first track, Cyclotron, is kind of maybe the one like radio length hit that I have on the album, if you want. Right, it's like very short track.
You're lucky it's an awesome song
with the,
too. I said you're lucky it's an awesome song, right? It's your only radio one, and it's like the worst one on the album or something like that.
Yeah, then it doesn't work. Yeah, so it opens up with the Omnichord, which is a pretty kind of funky instrument that you can strum, and it's kind of like a cheesy Casio in a way, that it has like some built-in drum beats and things like that. So I didn't turn on the accompaniment pattern, you don't hear that, but the drums that you hear at the start and all the sounds that you hear at the start, that's like 100% omnichord. It's just omnichord, like with the different sounds layered. And then in the second half, you could say like the band kicks in,
right,
and takes it somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, the strumming aspect of moving up and down that. Wait, is that copper? Is it a copper pad, or what is that? I'm talking about that strip.
Some metal,
right.
Yeah, like a strum plate,
right,
a touchpad type thing.
Yeah, that sound though.
It's really cool. It's one of my favorite things.
What was that, Sean? Sorry, it's from the what?
Sorry.
It came out in like '84. It is like super old, technology.
And you're using an original,
to be able to like
right?
On the synthesizer. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
you're using an original one, right? Because they did remake it later. I believe.
Yeah, but they remade it after the album came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I hunted down an original the Omnichord, what is it, OM84 if I'm remembering right. So yeah, no, it's a vintage one from I think 1984, and yeah, it does chords, and it has some little cheesy drum beats built in, and yeah, it has all these different chords that you could strum. You could just play chords, and you could this one, not all Omnichords could do this, but you can also like play melody on it as well.
Huh.
So you could like program the chord progression in, change the chords by pressing a pedal, because you've pre-programmed in the progression. So every
Right.
time you press the pedal, then it changes chord, and then you could play the melody on top of that.
There was a Instagram reel, I think, of you playing it, and I must have watched that. I couldn't tell you how many times, but I was so intrigued by this thing, and I've always wanted to play one. So it's like one day, maybe, I don't know.
Well, it was nice too that it was you're solely responsible for it being remade, obviously. So they must have heard your album.
Clearly.
Sure.
It's your legacy, right? All right.
No, it's a fun.
Like
It's definitely a fun, quirky instrument.
Yeah. What was that, Dom?
I said they hit him up, and they were like, "We must make one."
Right. So we heard Cyclotron, and we're starting the factory back up. But anyway, speaking of that, we'll move on to hear Cyclotron, and then Black Prisma, and then we will be back. That like I was just joking with Dominic in the chat about floating back to your chair. That remix is excellent. And like I was saying, you know, it really does sound like it could be some form of a Temporal Wave song. So I'm glad you did that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you do a remix, it's like you never know like how far to take it, right? Like how much of the original to keep and also put your own vibe on it. Like I think if you went and listened back to the original, you recognize a lot. I don't know. I kind of, you know, I add in a lot of layers and dirty things up a bit.
Right.
You know, some tape techniques and things like that. And yeah, I guess that's part of the temporal wave sound.
And is that
and tabla, of course?
is that glow I'm hearing on that snare for that awesome snare?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I forget what song it was that we originally started talking about this, but I loved the sound of your snare so much, and then you introduced me to that plugin, which I now use all the time, so eternally grateful for that. Thank you very much.
Happy to share. That's actually a recreation of the AMS RMX 16. Like super expensive if you wanted to find, you know, the actual vintage.
The classic
one,
for the gated snare sound of the 80s.
It's,
that and like, you know, like maybe like In the Air Tonight type of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but it's always crazy when you're trying to look for, like, when you try to look up some of the things that were created back then, trying to find them, like the prices of these things sometimes.
Oh, bananas.
But yeah, bananas. Like I don't even know how to even like. Some people, I don't know how you can afford it. Like anybody can afford it. I mean, I could see saving up for like one thing, but like it's some things are just so expensive.
Well, there's also, I know people like hunt for this stuff, and it's funny, like when it's garage sale season, I'm always walking around my neighborhood just waiting for that like Juno someone's dad had in the attic, and they're like, I don't know, $5? What, you know, this old thing, who cares? And I'm like, okay, you know.
Right, yeah.
I'm always looking for something, and I found a like electronic drum set that way, and this Yamaha, I forget what the model is, but it's like one of these keyboards you would buy for like, you know, your kid to practice piano at home on, but it's still good to like play around on, and so you can find stuff, but I've yet to find the you know, something amazing.
Right.
But
yeah, it'd be nice.
So part of what I do,
yeah, I like hunting for things too.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. And every so often, like at a Goodwill or something like that, I'll find like a rack unit like thrown amongst broken stereo equipment, and they don't know what it is. Right? It's some like MIDI, you know, thing or whatever. So I've been lucky a few times on that, but nothing awesome, nothing worth bragging about. But I was going to say that, you know, whenever we have guests on, we ask them if there's other bands they like that they'd like to share and that kind of stuff. And one of the ones that you picked was a song by Dynatron. But don't you have some connection with Dynatron, right? Didn't he have some connection with this album? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Yeah. Yeah. So aside from just being, you know, an artist that I listen to a lot, because I'm really into that space synth sound. But I was able to. I contacted him and he mastered the album. Yeah,
that's what it was. Right. Yeah, I knew his name was floating around this album somewhere. But so that's pretty awesome. You just reached out to him and he was down for it.
Yeah, because I had seen that just in searching for a mastering engineer, I had noticed that he had mastered some other people's albums. So I'm like, okay, so he's open to, you know, to. Well, first that he does that, right? You know,
sure.
Like, you know, because that's a very specific skill, and you know, that's it. And that he was open to mastering for other people. So I just contacted him. I mean, we didn't know each other before, and he had a listen, and he's like, yeah, sure, you know, and I think, you know, also that he liked that it was something a little bit different,
right,
from the usual. You know, he said. Something, you know, like the pink flamingos and palm trees.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
that. Nope, there isn't, but I know exactly what he's talking about.
That's one vibe. I mean, like you said earlier, synthwave is so varied, and there's so many, you know,
it's a
styles
very
that fit within and subgenres. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the cool thing. Like I said, is I've always been, I'm always surprised because there's always something new that I find eventually.
Yep.
And and just the ideas some people have are just so. It's just so I'm real big on anything melodic, and because I'm a sad sap, and so anything that's kind of like just makes me feel things is kind of like I'm always searching for that. And it's interesting when you find someone that does something melodic, but in a way that you wouldn't like expect it to be. So it's like I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like that's the only way I can describe it, and it's just it's really nice when you do find like little gems here.
Yeah. The melody and melodic music is my favorite as well. That's why there's a lot of electronic music I'm not the biggest fan of, and it's related to that. Like I like a melodic sound.
When it's just that.
So, but to each his own.
Well, yeah, I mean, some people it's about the 4/4, boots and cats, thing, where you're, and that's all it is, and then it's just a couple like whip, whip, whip.
Yeah.
And then that's literally all it is for like, minutes. And I mean, I can see the value in that, like, specifically if you're dancing or, you're out like,
like if it's like
festival.
Right. If it's that kind of an experience. And I think some people have that kind of experience in their life, and it was so enjoyable that they like to relive it through that music as well.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, it really depends, because that's the beautiful thing about music in general, I guess, right? Is that it's such a broad spectrum of sounds and noises and just rhythms, and I don't know. But that's also why I love synthwave, is just because like it's such a broad brush, and you can really make so many different things.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on. We have 2 songs recommended by Sean, one by Dynatron, and Caspro is the other one. Sean, it was kind of confusing because it was Caspro and L'Avenue. Is that the name of the album?
I think it's like
or
some kind of a collab.
Okay, yeah, it was kind of confusing.
No, L'Avenue is another synthwave artist. Yeah, but it's on Caspro's album. But I think that track must just be a collab. But
gotcha.
Yeah, that track. I mean, that whole album is kind of like, I don't know, beach, relax, like on vacation.
It's a great song.
Music, but yeah, I mean, just the toms, like from a music production perspective, like I nerd out sometimes on the sounds, like just the toms on that track, and I don't know, that's got to be like one of the clickiest bass drums I've ever heard, but it's just, it sounds great.
And then follow that, we have one by Axl Rhodes coming up, which actually fits perfectly in with that Caspro and L'Avenue song. So, all right, and then when we come back, I mean, I'm kind of interested to hear what you're going on what's happening with you in the future. So we'll hit that topic when we come back.
Also, Axl is great. I love listening.
Yeah.
I want to toss that out there. Like, I listened to this album that, it's called September. And I listened to that probably, I'd say, like every like once a week I'll throw it on in like a mix and everything. And it just, I don't know. It makes me feel good. It's really well put together, and I really like it.
Yeah, I agree. It's he's a fantastic musician, and we will hear him in a moment as well, which is nice. So, all right, I will see everybody or talk to everyone in a little bit. Here, up next, we have Dynatron, Jovian Giants. I feel like I have to have a private meeting with Axl Rhodes about how he does this, because if I'm going to keep doing some stuff like that for these other projects, I may need some tips from somebody who can create a song like that.
Yeah, it's a strange balance of for what I've noticed for most of that is when you're trying to create the synths. I've noticed you want to use a lot more. Why am I blinking on the thing right now? Well, a lot of it has to do with your envelope cut off to the filter, right? Because
Sure.
you want that whump noise with the synth, right? And then why am I? It starts with an R. Why am I blinking on this? Help me here.
You're up, Sean. Help him out. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Crap.
Or with an R, I don't know, resonance?
Thank you so much.
There
so
it-
it's about
there it
it's
is.
about it's like a resonance. So maybe it isn't resonance though. But the point is though, you want it to have like a sharp sound also with that whump.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a cutting almost. It's I don't know. It's a weird balance. It really is. It's gonna drive me nuts because I can't think of the word. It's gonna drive me crazy.
I don't know. The only thing when I hear this kind of stuff, I'm thinking about like sidechain compression and that kind of stuff. But that's not with an R. So.
And Axl is saying envelope in decay.
That is true, yes. I'm saying to get that sharp noise, sometimes you have to add, certain aspects to it to get like that, because you want it to be like that whoop,
Yeah.
like a as well with it, and then, have like a 1/8 or 1/16, sometimes even a quarter delay on it. It depends on the tempo, I guess. But
You know what?
But,
I'll hit up. I'll hit up this Windows guy that I've been listening
this
to,
Windows, yeah,
and he probably knows what you're talking about. So.
he probably knows a little bit.
So, anyways, as always, we have more stuff to play and not a lot of time. But Sean, what is next for Temporal Waves? You've done this, self-titled album. What's coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, so I mean, the main thing I'm working on now is the live show and getting out there and playing as much as possible.
Uh-huh.
I have a show in Montreal next week on February 20th.
Where is that at?
That's the main thing.
In case there's any people close.
It's a place that, yeah, if there's anyone in Montreal, it's at the Casa del Popolo. It is a small little intimate place. So it's next Thursday, the 20th at 7:30 p.m.
Awesome.
So it'll be like just me, no one else. And I'm gonna play the full album, the whole thing, with video projections and all that. So yeah, it'll be fun. And then other than that, it's some things coming, but I'm of the type that I don't like to say exactly what until the release date is set.
Sure.
And I can officially announce. But
I just wanted-
there's both. We could collab / remix type stuff in the works, and also new original compositions too. So that might be a couple singles here and there, maybe an EP and an LP. But my process is very slow, right? Because it's like hardware synths.
Right.
And recording that stuff and reworking and revising, adding the tabla, and it's all these are acoustic instruments combined with electronic, and it's just it's a slow process, and also I have to have the time to do it.
Right, but you're also crafting these songs, so that's another thing. That's what I'm always talking about is like, that's why I like albums over like a bunch of singles, because it's a comprehensive body of work that is somebody's like put their time into, and they crafted this whole thing. Now, it's not that I don't have anything against singles, obviously. I'm just saying, like, I prefer a full album because it's a listening experience.
Right, the album experience.
Yeah.
So,
and it
definitely
should
same
take a
for
while.
me. Yeah, like Google, YouTube Music is always recommending me every time I open it, like new releases, and like I get a bit annoyed because it's like single, okay, album. So I usually will listen to the album, and less so the singles, because then I have to pick something else very soon after.
Right.
So with the album, you're good to go for a while, right?
Yeah, but it's like this strange pressure. I feel like sometimes where with people where you feel like in order to keep up, you almost have to release like a single or something, and like I fight with that a lot. I feel like.
Yeah, there's that pressure there.
That's like algorithm stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we have 3 songs, and then we're gonna come back for our goodbye and sign off, and then the show will end with 3 more. But there's nothing else you guys want to add. Then I'll move on.
Now let's move on.
All right. This next one up.
Listen to the tunes.
This next one up is the newest by Bending Grid, followed by 2 other ones, one of which was a request by Sean himself from the RetroSynth catalog. So I will see you guys on the other side.
He's just a breath, living in death, drifting in storms with the
Oh my god! Oh my god! I just pulled a Dominic here, and this happened the last time I was listening to Outrunner, where I'm like in a different place, and then this music kicks in, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing? You know, if I click on everything, I'm immediately forget everything I've ever known about operating anything on a computer, and then the thing, get my brain started again. So we are at the end of the show, and Sean, I have to say it's been a real honor to have you on. And we've talked a lot over the last year or so and everything. And not a lot in person, maybe never in person, maybe for a minute on like a radio interview or something. But it's been really nice talking with you and like getting to know you a little bit better.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's a fun hangout.
Yeah, for sure.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I'm like, it's one of those things where it's like, I look back and think about this past year, and I don't think I ever thought, hey, you know what? Probably going to be having like a radio show one day.
Right.
With my buddy, having other musicians on that, I listen to, and it's a strange ride.
Yeah, for sure. But it's interesting too. You never know what life is going to bring or what direction you're going to go in. So it's a fun chapter that we've started here for me. I definitely look forward to Tuesday every week.
Yeah, for sure. Every week. That's the it's so funny because the day before on Monday is usually like cleanup time, get the house ready and everything. So it's like Tuesday is always this kind of like I get to do something out of the norm, from my usual mundane part of the day.
So, Sean, thank you again for coming. Other than the show you talked about, is there anything else that you'd like to plug or talk about before we end?
No, I think we're good. I mean, otherwise, if people have been enjoying the music and you don't have the album yet, please, check out my Bandcamp page, and you have the album on vinyl, cassette, and CD.
Yes, and it's very good.
Yes, very good. Highly recommended for sure. Yes. So we have three more songs left to end the show. We're not going to come back after, but these are also three artists that Sean recommended from the RetroSynth catalog. So I appreciate you for recommending these, and I really hope we can have you back on in the future.
Oh, absolutely, anytime.
All right, Dominic,
Sweet.
Thank you. Pleasure as always.
No problem, man. Love you guys.
I love you guys too, and we'll see everybody next week. Thanks for hanging out.